First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
County Executive Anthony Picente yesterday talking about the news that came from Governor Andrew Cuomo, who has announced that we are following, therefore, CDC guidelines when it comes to the wearing of masks. And the county executive on the line right now, Tony Picente, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. So that's good news, right?
It is. I was saying that to Andrew, and we said it both the same way. It's a step in the right direction. Look, we need to move the needle, and you need to give reasons to two sides. You need to give a reason for people that got the vaccine to say, okay, why did I get the vaccine, and at what point are we free in terms of various restrictions and other things. And on the flip side, to the people who haven't gotten the vaccine to say, okay, now there is a difference, because up till now, I think the argument was, well, there's no difference for me getting the vaccine because Bill's got the vaccine. He's still wearing a mask. He's still got to do all these things. And it was a point of percentages and where the CDC saw the data. But now I think it validates a couple things. And I've said all along, the vaccine is the new mask. That's really the mask we should be wearing.
Yep.
And that's the vaccine. So let's get it, and let's get above that 70% number, and all of these things can be alleviated and gone away. I agree with it, and at the hospital and the healthcare, nursing homes, and obviously places that have those close proximity, but also the other aspects of this. But in terms of the outdoor stuff, but also certain things indoor. If I said this last week, if an office is fully vaccinated, or a workplace in that regard is all fully vaccinated, then why are they doing the various restrictions that? So there's a lot of different scenarios, but I think it does move us in the right direction, and I think we just have to be patient with it and, deal with it and let businesses make their decisions for themselves as they go forward.
I want to read a statement from Steve McLaughlin. Is he a county executive in Rensselaer? Yeah. So he's going back and forth with Cuomo's office. Here I want to read what he said over the weekend. As I said last May, when Governor Cuomo was playing games and making things up regarding opening up, I'll say again this May, ignore him. Rensselaer County will follow CDC guidelines. If you're not state licensed, ignore his random, self-serving idiocy. He cares about himself, not you. That is a far different statement than the one that you gave over the weekend, which basically said, you got to open this up for everybody, which is what he ultimately did.
Yeah, Steve, I know Steve. Steve's a good friend, and Steve does tend to go a little bit in different
different direction, would you say? Yeah. A little bit. But Steve's actually a good guy and a good county executive. This hypocrisy over the last 5 days of we're gonna have our experts. Well, and one of the things I said over the weekend was, look, but you didn't trust the Trump CDC. Because you were, Cuomo I'm talking about. But then now you're not trusting the Biden CDC. So who do you trust at all? And yet we're supposed to trust you. The argument just doesn't fly, especially when you say, well, we're going to follow, the science and then not the politics. Well, the last 4 days were clearly the politics of it. Which is a shame. And what part of following the science and our experts getting it right happened with the nursing home situation in the beginning, where we were sending people back into the nursing homes? And if that wasn't the wrong decision, why did we stop doing it? Right?
Well, that and then that calls into mind the entire into the entire book deal that is questionable today about so what drove the decision making process here, and was it really the issues, especially and on the surface, the
and I say the easy ones, none of them were easy, so let me clarify that. I mean, the mask orders, the different restrictions, the closures, the pause, all of those things were necessary, but, what drove the other decisions in terms of not reversing a policy that was that was dangerous, not revealing the exact data of that cause, and not doing adjusting or calling audibles when you really needed to during this, and then was it based on now the question is, was it based on this deal, and that's something that higher ups are going to and other people are going to have to determine.
How do we, it does seem that there are, while we are opening and we're lifting the mask restrictions in a lot of cases, it does seem that it's come with a great deal of confusion and places businesses in a really difficult spot. There's no way you could be able to tell if somebody were vaccinated. So I guess you got to go in with the theory that if you're vaccinated, you're protected. If you're not vaccinated and not wearing a mask, you're putting yourself in danger. It's your own problem. You are putting yourself in danger, and that's why you would hope that, and that's why I understand businesses, I mean, at the same time, looking at, okay, what do we do? And that's why I said, they can leave those restrictions in place, just like they put other restrictions. I made that point last year when, you go to a certain place, you see no shirt, no shoes, no service, no mask. I mean, you could do that, and then they could continue that for the time being, and until they see that. Now, as far as people that are not vaccinated and just want to, blatantly, disregard that, I mean, the danger is on them, of course. That's what's been stated, and that's the risk that they should not want to take. And I would think that people would, at this point, want to get the vaccine for those reasons, but. The flip side of that is, so if you're not wearing a mask and you do lie in that regard in a workplace or in a business or in wherever that it's you're posing as someone who's been vaccinated and you do come down with COVID, we're going to know it, and that place is going to know it the next time because we're still doing contact tracing. None of this stops in terms of the processes that we go through to check on people and to follow the trail of a vaccine or of a COVID case. So that's still going to continue. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I mean, something we don't want it to happen, but if you do come down or if you do get a positive, we're going to know and we're going to trace that back, and then it's going to be you were at Bill Keeler's store and you were positive, and Bill Keeler's going to know that the next time you want to go back in there. So that's and look, that's why let's really honor the honor system and do it the right way. So this is David from the Valley. Why does having COVID not exempt someone from the vaccination, like other diseases such as the measles, mumps, etc., and protect with antibodies? If they're going to use the variant as an answer, the vaccine does not cover the variant. Just like the variant flus and a new vaccine must be formulated. Hard to trust or accept their science rationale as a fact as it changes every day. To get a shot just to satisfy their incompetence does not wash with me and many others. I had a very serious case of COVID and was hospitalized. I will trust my antibodies, not the vaccine. Problem is we're being forced to immunize and harassed and stigmatized if we do not. How do you answer that? Well, that's a pretty long. It is a long one, yes. Pretty long and depth. Well, I mean, look, for everybody who's had COVID and serious and not, I mean, I understand the hesitancy or the belief that says that you don't, you've got the antibodies, so it doesn't occur. But we have seen that, and look, I'm not the medical expert. I go by what we try to follow what we can, through or what the CDC and others say, but the myth about you don't need to get the vaccine is not entirely true. That you have to wait so many days is not true, and it's not about forcing people. I think it's about protecting you and everybody around you. So I don't agree with it. Look, when we ask people to get the vaccine, I mean, this was a pandemic. This wasn't just something that I mean, and it's hard to point to any other point to say that go get a tetanus shot every 10 years, which
not everybody does anyway right now, and that's something that, if you get hurt, you intend to have to get one. But I mean, we were in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
Don't you want to protect people and your loved ones and everything? It's hard to get to the arguments on people that have had COVID, and especially the severe cases. I completely understand that.
Well, look at Brian Miller. Brian's a great example. He got the vaccine.
Yes, he did. And Brian was, you talk about a severe case. Brian was on a respirator for forgot how many days.
It was almost a month.
Almost. Yeah. It was terrible. I mean, but he got it, and so did many others. I think the point here is, it goes back to what are we dealing with here, and how do we get back to that normalcy that we want? And the vaccine is the new mask. So
I like that line. I think that's a great line.
Yeah, and I think it's legitimate, completely, because last year at this time all we had were masks.
Right.
We touted and we kept saying we're waiting for the vaccine. So we got the vaccine, and then it took a couple months to get percentages up, understandably, and now we're still moving. I'm really pleased and surprised at the 12 and to 15-year-old groupings that we've been.
The number's pretty big. The numbers
are significant.
Yeah.
And I'm encouraged by that with the, certainly with parents that they have to make that decision.
Yeah.
Because it has to have parental consent, and they have to be there, with it. That's one of the conditions we put in. I'm encouraged by that. I think that's going to be a great step forward, and you'll see our percentages change a little bit because now we've added the 12-year-olds. 12 to 15 in that group. So if you saw that we were at 54, now we're at 52, it's because
you've added more people to the mix.
The grouping is wide.
Yeah, I want to just touch on one other thing that that David had said, and just get your take, because I try to look at this in a way that you have to look at this logically on what we have been through in the last year and a few months, and how we have been learning about this whole thing in real time, which means we're not going to always get it right. When he says, listening to these people who constantly got it wrong, how are we supposed to trust them? I don't feel that way. I feel like just the data, the information, what we know has changed, and therefore so have the recommendations.
Right, and then this has been a changing piece because of not knowing what it is. It wasn't like any other, and even who knows what it was like in the past. I can't go back that far or understand what they were dealing with. But even with the science that we have today, not knowing this and moving forward. I think to his point, I guess and the frustration, goes back to the last couple of days when you saw that, and the same applied. It was just that. And then look, states, traditionally always, have the right to make their decisions. But, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and the confusion for people was just that when the federal government said something, and before when it was the Trump administration, people didn't want to trust it, and then turned around to some extent and said, well, we're not going to do it this way, we're going to do it differently. And now the new administration that everybody thought was going to be, different again, they're still getting questioned, and pretty much it's the same team. That hasn't changed.
Right,
which is really kind of,
the reality is what was taken away was the thunder that Cuomo would be able to
exactly.
unleash.
But the confusion led to the people, everybody not, if you just want to go back and say, if everybody followed everything the same way from the beginning, would we be in a different spot rather than everybody taking different approaches?
My guess is
that's going to be the question.
My guess would be, and we won't know, and we'll look back on it and probably know a lot more, but my guess would be the answer to that is yes. If we were all on the same page, it's almost always a better situation.
Right. So,
So
all
right.
The time will tell.
Okay, sounds good. County Executive Anthony Picente, thank you so much. And
all right, thanks.
We'll do it again. Thanks.
Yep. Talk to you soon.
All right. Take that mask off tomorrow. Take it off. Okay.
Let yourself breathe a little.
That's right. Time to breathe. Man, you know what I'm going to like is walking, getting out of my car, and walking from my car to the store and actually being able to wear my sunglasses.
Oh, without it fogging up.
You're assuming the supermarket says you don't have to wear a
Well,
mask.
I'm not gonna. I don't wear it in the parking lot anyway. So, and I don't wear my sunglasses inside.
I'm going to look
You're right.
forward to not having to go from my car to the front door of the store, realizing I don't have my mask, and then having to walk my butt back to the car.
Although I think you're, and I don't know what the grocery stores are going to do. I think it becomes
Walmart already said.
Walmart is giving it up, but I think in all places, I might still wear my mask in Walmart.
Yeah. I wonder
Sorry.
if it's going to be like a,
Not related to COVID.
forgive me, like a class thing, you know?
It might be the whole new thing for me.
Like
I'm becoming Japanese.
I
There's
have
a song
sneeze
about
gun.
I'm turning Japanese, you know.
That doesn't mean that.
Oh.
For instance, Walmart says we're not going to do the mask, but maybe like an upper class style supermarket says.
So maybe you have a
No, we still wear masks around here,
Yeah.
and then they attract
like a
that
Whole
type of
Foods,
shopper.
like a Whole Foods in Albany is like, no, we're still going to
Yeah, or even like I
Wegmans.
don't know.
Wegmans. Yeah,
I don't want to start throwing names out, and I'm not saying that they're like this in any way. They're actually amazing to work with. But like if a local chain like a Shenanchery's or
it's going to be interesting to see what happens tomorrow.
Hannaford.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting.